All right, so this video is on pressure points, and I have my husband here, Luigi. Luigi, say hi.
Hi, Luigi.
And he's going to help me show you ladies all the pressure points in our bodies. So we have to be able to engage a pressure point no matter which level we're at, whether we're standing, we're down here, we're on the ground, we're kneeling, we're on our back, we're on our stomach. We should be able to access some pressure point in our attacker's, on our attacker's body. So we always start from top, bottom. So I'll start with hair. So you can see I have a ponytail in. My husband doesn't have any hair, so I can't grab his hair, but he could grab my ponytail or my hair, right? And if he pulls it, it hurts, so there's pain. But he can also use it as leverage to either pull me, right? Or he could push me forward, or he could take my hair and push my whole body and smack me to a wall. He could smack me forward. So the hair can be used as a pressure point to actually grab someone in order to, push them or pull them or into something, or push them down to maybe crack their skull or something like that. Next is the skull, right? The head, the top here. And we could, if like Lewis doesn't have any hair, but I could grab him at the back of the head, I could grab him here, and if he's in motion, or I could trip him somehow, but I can push him again to the ground, and I can smash him on the skull here, on the forehead, or in the back. And what that does is it might knock him out unconscious, or it could give him a concussion with the brain. So a concussion is if your brain is inside your skull, and if it ricochets, it goes here to here, it can give you a concussion. So one of the things that we talk about in Krav Maga that a lot of other self-defense companies or instructors don't do is we tell you what happens when you engage a pressure point. That way you can identify the level of danger. What would you say? You can identify the correct pressure point, because there are some pressure points that can actually cause death. So if it's not a life or death situation, you don't want to access that or engage that pressure point. All right, and there's like 3 of them on the body that we talk about. So again, you can do the skull, the back, or the forehead part, and you could smash a person down, and you could knock them out, make them unconscious, or you can also give them a concussion, which might it'll buy you some time. Basically, engaging pressure points is to buy you some time in order so that you can either leave or get another attack out when you're defending yourself. All right, so then we have eyebrows, the bone, and you guys can stand up and you can actually do this to yourselves. So you have your eyebrow, there's a bone here. So if you engage in that, you could break it, or even if you have like a ring on when you're engaging that, you could swipe it down, you could cause it to bleed, and if blood gets in your eyes, blood is salty, so your eyes are become blurry. Then there's also the eyes, right? So you can engage the eyes, and a lot of times people think you can just poke the eyes, but that's really a bad idea. And if you take your thumbs and you just put them underneath your eyes a little bit, you can feel that like pressure, so it's really uncomfortable. So if he's got me in a bear hug, right, and my arms are free, and I can have access to his face or his eyes, right, I can put my thumbs, let me go this way, and put them, open up your eyes, goof, okay, and put them under his eyes. It's going to make him feel very uncomfortable, and he might just release me a little bit, so that I can get out maybe another counterattack. So when you do that, you want to take the person in the palm of your hands, the face if possible, and you want to actually put your thumbs underneath the eyes and behind the eyeball. I know it sounds kind of gross, but if you're in that kind of a situation, you have to do what you have to do. Move back a little bit. All right, so then after that, you have the nose, which is right here. You can punch it, and if you do that, it's going to cause pain. And a lot of times we're engaging pressure points so that we can get a release. So if I'm being grabbed or something like that, if I engage a pressure point, I can get released so that I can get off an attack or leave or run away or something like that. So I can punch someone in the nose and break the nose, and that'll cause pain. It'll cause your eyes, the person's eyes will be blurry for a second. We're not looking for lots of seconds. We're looking for a split second or two so that we get a release from the attacker so that we can either evade, meaning leave the area safely, or get off an attack. After that is like the bridge of the nose, this little piece right here. So you take your hand, right? So you take the thumb and you place it under your nose, and if you do that, and you kind of press with the other hand. Don't do it hard, but you can feel how fragile that is, right? So you use that in a situation if, for example, let's say someone's got me like this, right? And I have access. My other hand is free. I can, and depending on the height of the person, now Lewis is not a real tall guy, so I have access to his nose. So I can actually put my thumb underneath his nose here. My other hand is free, and I can smash his nose, which is really going to hurt, and then he'll give me a bit of a release, right? I can get out and I can kick or punch or whatever else. So that's like, they call that the bridge of the nose. Next is our mouth area, so our lips, our teeth, and our tongue. So if we punch to the mouth, we can cause bleeding. We could like open up a lip. We can actually, if the person was talking or something, I might even get them to bite their tongue. And if their tongue starts to bleed, they're going to bleed out. So they're going to stop what they're doing because they have to stop the bleeding of their tongue. Because if they don't, they will bleed out and die. Breaking teeth causes pain and blood. A lot of people don't like to look at blood, so they might stop for a split second. It's in those moments of the split second where you want to get that release so that you can either continue an attack, get an attack off, or again evade and get to a safe place. The chin, you can hit to the chin, right? And that hurts, and you can also cause a concussion with that. You can hit so hard that you knock them off their balance. They might lose their balance. They might fall back, hit their head, and either break their head open. They might get a concussion again, or they might get themselves unconscious. So one of the things that happens with these pressure points is sometimes you'll engage one, and it's like a chain reaction, and it'll go into another one. So again, if I hit Lewis in the chin and he lost his balance, he might then fall back, hit the back of his head, the back of his skull, and knock himself out. You could do that. Then there is the windpipe, which is right here, right? A lot of guys, you can see they have like an Adam's apple, but women, they don't have that Adam's apple, but that's your windpipe. If you've ever just done this, and you could take your hands and actually do this, and you could feel it. It's almost like, it's very uncomfortable. If you knock or hit that windpipe, you can break it. The intent with any strike is to do some level of damage. This is one of those pressure points that I stay away from unless I want to actually inflict death, because if you break the windpipe, that person is going to have about 15 minutes before they suffocate and die. So you don't really want to engage that unless it's a life or death situation, okay? You can also pluck the windpipe with a thumb like that, or even 2 fingers. You can go in and take it and pluck it out and break it. And then we'll just stay with the head. You have the temple up here, right? And that's pretty fragile. And you can hit that, you can strike it, you could kick it, and it's another one of those pressure points where it can inflict, you can either it can be painful, it can cause unconsciousness, and it can also cause death. Because if you really hit it and you do a one knuckle to that temple, you could actually sever that and cause a person to die. So again, if it's not a life or death situation, I'd stay away from the temple. And if it is a life or death situation and the temple presents itself, you're gonna smash it as hard as you can. And that person is gonna go down. Next is say the jawline, right? So right here, if your attacker's mouth is closed and you hit that, strike it. And again, you can strike with your hand depending on your distance, or you could use a kick if you can get that high and you're flexible. If the attacker's mouth is closed, it will be painful, but you can also cause a concussion because, again, your brain is kind of in the middle of this skull area. And if it's all intact and you actually hit that so hard that the brain is gonna ricochet. Instead of ricocheting this way between the front of the skull and the back of the skull, ricocheting that way, with the jaw it's actually ricocheting this way, and you could actually cause a concussion that way as well. If for some reason the mouth was opened when you hit that, engage that pressure point, it would become dislocated. It's extremely painful, and it'll buy you a second or two, okay, to, again, get away, get out another strike or kick. The ears, right? So if you take your hands and you cup your hands and you just put them over your ears, it's almost like listening to a shell, right? If you pick up a big shell, they got that kind of a sound. So if you put your palms over your ears and you just do this lightly, you can hear that. But if you're that close, right, you're actually going to smash the ears, right? And you have the ability to smash an eardrum, and that is extremely painful, and that is going to gauge you more than a split second or two. The other thing you can do with ears is if there's any kind of jewelry on an ear, you could take that, you can rip it, right, and cause pain and bleeding. And I'd also say that if it's close range and you got nothing else, you could actually scream as a weapon, using your voice as a weapon in the eardrum, and you can actually break the eardrum, okay? The other thing anytime you see piercings, like maybe on the eyebrows, the nose, the lips, and they're available, you grab them and you rip them and you cause pain and blood, okay? And again, you're just trying to buy some time to get off another attack. Anything you want to add? No? Okay. All right, so we're going to go to the back of the neck. And the back of the neck, they call that the nape of the neck, right here, right? So this is the third and final pressure point where I stay away from unless it's a life or death situation. That can cause, and now if I take a hammer strike to the back of that neck really hard, I can cause pain, I can cause unconsciousness, or I can cause death, because what happens is it separates. That bone right there separates from here to here, and that's immediate death. So then we have the large muscle groups, right? So we have the chest, the pectorals, we have the arms, and you can also have your thighs, right? So when you hit those and you engage those, it causes pain, it hurts. But really what happens inside your body is when you hit that hard, lactic acid actually releases from your body, and it goes into your body, your bloodstream. And when the lactic acid is released, it prevents mobility from movement. It stops you from moving. So in whether it's one arm, two arms, or whatever, okay? So it hinders your attacker's movement. It's his or her body movement. Let me see. There's also the collarbone, right? Which is like right here. You can feel it, right? There's like a bone right here, right? So you can take a hammer strike to that, right, and break it. And if you break that collarbone, his arm, the mobility of that arm is gone, right? Which is great. But remember, he's got another one. So just because you break one side of the collarbone and one arm is not mobile anymore, he may not care. He may still go after you with that other arm, so be aware. It might be enough. I mean, when you break your collarbone, it's very painful. So again, he might just stop. He or she might just stop, or it'll allow you to get off another attack. And then you have the, I always forget that part. What's it called?
Clavicle?
The clavicle hollow, yeah. So if you feel on your shoulder, right, you have this right here, right? You feel it's like indented. It's like this soft spot in here. That's your clavicle hollow. So if you can access that with, let's say, you have a pen, right? Or you could have a screwdriver. You could have a knife. You could have a thin branch with maybe a pointy tip on it. You can actually go into that area there, and that's going to cause internal bleeding and a lot of pain. One of the other pressure points is under the arm, right? So if you can kick or strike under the arm really, really hard, that'll cause temporary paralysis. Not permanent paralysis, but temporary paralysis. And let me go back to the back of the neck here. The other thing, I told you it could cause pain to death. The other thing it could cause is permanent paralysis. So again, the back of the neck, nape of the neck right here, you kind of want to stay away from unless it's a last resort, because pain, unconsciousness, permanent paralysis, and or death. Let's see, what else do we have? Fingers and toes. You can break a finger, and the only thing you want to do, let's say I'm in a bear hug. He's got me in a bear hug. Let's just step back a little bit, Lewis, so that they can see. So you see his hand here. I want to get to a finger. Now the really silly thing about this is he's got me like this, but I've got my head, right? I could hit back and hit him in the head. I can use that. I can use my back of my head to actually hit one of his pressure points, his front of his head, or even his temple, depending on his height. And so I could also, I got my hands, I got my feet, so I could stomp on his foot, on his toes, on his instep. I can use the back of my heel to kick his shin, right, and scrape down. So anyway, so what I can do is I can take my knuckles, right, and I can hit the back of his hand and get a little bit of release. And I'm going to go for his biggest finger, and I'm going to take it, right, and I'm going to break it. And that's going to just give me enough time to release this grip here, right? So I break it, I hold it in here, I'm going to come out, and and then I'll teach you later on in close range scenarios. But the key is to break the finger and hold it down so that it gives you a release so that you can get out of that hold. Let's see. We have the groin area. The groin will give you, if you engage the groin with a kick or a strike, any kind of way, even, biting, however you have to engage it in order to get free, will give you the most time available to either leave and get to a safe place or to carry off your next attack. Let's see. I'm going kind of fast because I'm trying to keep the video kind of short. Let's see. What else? You have knees that you can kick, and you can dislocate a knee, but you don't want to kick forward on the knee. You want to kick to the side of the knee, okay? And that'll pop the kneecap out. You have the Achilles tendon, which is your ankle, the back of your ankle, right? So you could kick that, and by kicking that, you're gonna basically get your attacker off of balance, and he might fall. And as he's falling down, you could hit him, kick him again. You can do a lot of different things, and we'll go over that in close range scenarios at a later date. You can also kick to the back of the calf, and also buckle him down. So he would buckle down, and as he goes down, you can either take him, push him, take his head. So like if I kick him in the back of the calf, I can grab here, and I can actually push him down and smash his head to the ground. You have the liver and the kidney. So you can either take a knife to the kidney or to the liver. You can actually hit it, strike it, kick it, either one of those organs, and it causes internal bleeding. And if it isn't taken care of properly within 24 to 48 hours, your body becomes toxic and the person will die. So it's extremely painful. I don't know if you've ever taken a kidney or a liver shot or hit. It's very, very painful. The other thing is your coccyx bone in the back here, right? So if you break the coccyx bone, the attacker is immobile. They cannot walk for a long time. So they're immobile. The other thing with going back to the clavicle hollow is if you engage that with an object inside, it also diminishes mobility in that particular arm. We talked about the instep of your foot. You can stomp on it, and we'll go over that again in a later video. You have your shin, right, the front part of your arm. I don't care how strong that attacker is. Everyone's shin is extremely vulnerable, extremely fragile, and if you kick it with the back of your heel, it's going to hurt that person. And again, you're just trying to get a release from that person, because think about the distance. If they've got you like this, you can kick in the back, and you just want to release so that you can get out and then maybe get an attack, or attack out, or actually come out of the hot zone and actually then kick. I did those really fast, Luigi. Is there anything that you can think of that needs to be added?
I think you covered.
I probably missed something.
Kept it simple.
But I just want you to. I did give Seraphin a sheet of all of the pressure points and also what happens when you engage that pressure point, so she can maybe share that with you if you have any more questions. But if you do have a question on a pressure point, give it to Seraphin, and I can address that later, maybe with another video. And then next time you all meet, then we can address it, or I can clarify any pressure point that you have some questions on. I feel like I am forgetting something. Every time you engage a pressure point, it depends on distance. So just because you might think that you have to be close to engage the groin, right? Because it's right here. But actually, you can kick to it, and I can be way out of that territory. Remember our personal territory. So if Luigi is here, his personal territory is right here. I actually can, of course, reach his groin from here, but I don't need to be in his territory to reach it, because I can reach it from here. And you can see that I'm completely out of his territory. And I'm going to teach you kicks and all of that. So you want to be aware of your distance. And think about, if you have to engage a pressure point, where would you be distance-wise? And also how to break a neck. You have to be pretty close. You take your hand here to the chin. You bring your other hand to the other side of the head, and then you rotate and you break that way. And it's not a slow movement. It's a real quick movement. Is that correct, right? Did that right? Okay.
Can you do it the other way? Because I felt a crack.
Oh, you felt a crack? Let me re-crack you. All right. So if you're here, your hand comes underneath the chin. The other hand goes on the opposite side. So it's kind of like a globe.
Yes.
And so you're turning it, right? And you're turning this way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. And but it's not a slow movement. It's fast. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop it here because we're at about 24 minutes. So enjoy the rest of the session, and I'll talk to you soon. Say goodbye, Luigi.
Goodbye, Luigi.